Good morning, everybody. My name is Kristóf Fenyvesi. It's good to see that more and more people online. We wait for some more minutes to begin. So stay tuned. See you soon. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kristóf Fenyvesi. I'm really happy to welcome you in the end of the year seminar organized by 4D Frame and International Association Society for the Advancement of STEAM. It's good to see that more and more people online, even in this very special period of the year. But actually, this period is also about to spend with your friends, with your family. So we are all friends here to bring forward science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics education from all around the world. So it's very good to meet you regularly here. Thanks to 4D Frame and thanks to these societies. And we have actually three very special guests for today. My great pleasure to introduce first Marianna Bach. She's from Sweden, and she will hold a congratulatory message, a congratulatory talk. She's a head curator of the National Museum of Science and Technology in Sweden, in Stockholm. It's a wonderful, magical place of STEAM. Many events and many programs are taking place there thanks to Marianna and her international friends. And when I'm mentioning her friends, I should start to introduce our speakers as well. So Philippe Longchamps is the teacher of the year actually in Sweden. So he got elected to the teacher of the year in Sweden in 2020. So it's a great pleasure that he can also spend some time with us in the midst of many interviews and many talks where he's invited to introduce his pedagogy, and he's just preparing new books. So we are really looking forward to read more also about his philosophy, but we are very lucky to hear from him himself about his achievements. And he's the head of department in the bilingual Montessori school of Lund in Sweden, and also my colleague in the International Society for the Advancement of STEAM. So it's a great pleasure to have him here with us today. And the other superstar speaker, so this year is really ending with the fireworks of STEAM, apparently, is Rocky Byun, who is very famous as well. He's an internationally acclaimed balancing performance artist. He's from Korea, so it's also already there is some balance in our program. So we have a European speaker, and we also have a speaker from Korea to represent also some of the main branches in the organization of these programs. He's been invited to several TV shows from Dubai to USA, NBC, Today Show, BBC, CNN, Fox TV, Discovery Channel, were all admired his great skills of balancing actually anything. So he can put into balance everything, even me when I'm a bit stressed to make this introduction. And he's also making TED Talks about career education and creativity in education. So I'm really looking forward to know more about his secrets, what he will share with us supposedly today. So it's my great pleasure to ask my dear friend Marianna Bach from Sweden, the head of the Nordic 4D Frame and also the head curator of Tekniska Museet, the Museum of Technology in Sweden, to make her congratulatory talk to open our end of the year seminar. Dear Marianna, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, but I really want to thank you, Christophe, for hosting this meeting. It's very exciting to once again have the pleasure of taking part in this meeting dedicated towards STEAM. It's such a wonderful initiative to arrange these STEAM-oriented seminars, and it's also so rewarding to take part. You learn a lot, and you get to know people that was a long time you saw, and people that you will meet in the future. So it's been really great. I'm very honored to have this opportunity to address you all on the request of Mr. Hogel Park, who's a dear friend and the inventor of 40Frame. It is actually because of him and his lovely wife, Miss Iris Young, my best greetings to her, that I came to know the concept about STEAM and also the tactile educational material 40Frame that have enriched my perspective on education. And then, of course, it's also enriched me because of my encounter with Korea, a country I love. And this country is my home abroad. I have so much to be thankful for and so many people to be grateful to. And I would like to especially direct my gratitude to Mr. Kim, who has influenced our work always and always been a great support for our collaboration. I have been visiting Korea once or twice every year since 2009. And this year, we could not meet. We could not meet in person. And that's a disaster. But I really miss meeting you in real life. But I also have to admit that in a way, the new procedure with online meetings is also bringing us closer. And this situation with the corona, this shall pass, and we shall meet again in real life soon. I truly look forward to next fall and the next competition in October. So I wish you all the very best seminar. And again, thank you to the organizers. And I also wish you the best for 2021. Now, I'm not sure if I shall introduce Philippe since you've been introduced, but if I have a minute, I would like to say a few words. Is that okay?
Yes, please. You have even like 6 minutes to talk about your personal experiences, because you are a great friend of Philippe and you introduced us, Philippe. So please go ahead.
Okay. So, because not is it only the international competition of mathematics and creativity that takes place in Korea every year. It's not only a good way to make friends in Korea. Strangely enough, it brings friends together also here in our own country. We arranged the national competition of mathematics and creativity in 10 regions in Sweden. Do you still hear me?
Yes, we do.
I lost you there?
No, we hear you. Thank you.
We arranged the competition of mathematics and creativity in 10 regions in Sweden since several years back. And one of the arenas where it takes place is the museum I work for, the National Museum of Science and Technology, where I work for 27 years now. And since May 2015, with support from the government's Agency of Education, we have arranged a national competition in Sweden. One of the main collaborators is Vattenhallen Science Center in Lund, a part of Lund's University, where a dear colleague of mine, and you also know Stefan Sumado, have been running the competitions. And this way, 3 years ago. Now I'm looking at you, Philippe, because this way, 3 years ago, I happened to meet one of the most dedicated and talented teachers I have ever known. His engagement and the interaction with students, as well as with teachers and other adults in his surroundings, is absolutely fabulous. And this is also why he was elected Teacher of the Year in 2020. Congratulations to you for that. It's an astonishing accomplishment. Now, at the Noble Calling Teachers Summit in Stockholm, October 2019, correct me if I'm wrong, 2019, I ran into this charismatic person again, and we sat down for a short while. During this conversation, I asked him if he would be willing to prepare a lecture for when we were going to Korea later that fall. He accepted in a heartbeat. And this lecture became a milestone for both of us, actually, and also for our common friend, Charlotte Graham, who is in this meeting, I think. And now I am so happy to introduce Philippe Longchamps to all of you. He will present himself in connection to his lecture on the subject of STEAM. So buckle up and let's listen to what he will tell us about his perspective of teaching and learning. And why not give him virtual applause to start?
Thank you very much. So,
Thank you.
Philippe Longchamps, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you very much to you, Christophe and Mariana. I'm very, very touched. Now you can hear it in my voice. Thanks again. Now I'm just gonna try to share my screen with you, if I may start right away. Here, give me 1 second. And please feel free to interrupt me, Christophe, if you see that there's some technical problems. I will just adjust my view here. And can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
Very good. Perfect. So yeah, today, of course, I'm going to talk about 4D frame mostly, but we are going to take a new approach because maybe some of you have already seen some of my seminars online or some of my lectures, or you were there in Korea when I did my very first presentation, the one that Mariana was talking about in her wonderful introduction. So today the theme of this seminar, and I count on you to contribute to this brainstorm because I think that we have a lot of different creative minds here and we are all striving towards the improvement and the development of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. We are hopefully I will bring some inspiration to you and together we will contribute to the advancement of STEAM. So the theme of my seminar today, and I apologize in advance because the first few slides I'm going to read through because I think it's very important to really set the tone to what we're going to talk about. And later on I will provide a lot of examples, a few videos, room for discussion as well. And I'm supposed to talk for about 40 minutes. And then we're going to have 30 minutes to answer question or debate. And I already received some of your fantastic questions from all around the world. So I'm looking forward to try my best to answer them to the best of my abilities. And feel free to slow me down if you think that I start to go too fast. So today we're going to talk about innovation in creative learning. And this seminar is going to be about the effective combination of materials, methods, and subjects in education. To start with, I need just to show you a quick example. Here we have 4D frame combined with a small drone. So we have to maybe look to different avenues in order to find ways to combine great material like 4D frame together with other material and also use different methods and try to juxtapose them. So in the future, probably at the IMSCC finals, we're going to have a broader range of competition. So there, I want you to see if I can inspire you to get some new ideas on how to combine not only the material, but the methods and the subjects also, because I'm a strong advocate for integrative learning, and I'm going to talk more about this in the upcoming slides. Here in my introduction, I put the flag of Canada, Sweden, and Korea, because of course, Korea is now almost my second home. And I moved to Sweden in 2002. But I'm originally from Sherbrooke in Quebec, Canada. So you probably hear in my accent that French is my mother tongue. So I'm doing this in my second language, English. But before I start, I need to say hello to everyone from all around the world, but especially from my friends in Korea. 안녕하세요. So like I said, I'm a historian. I'm not an engineer or a mathematician like most of you. I studied history at UQAM in Canada. I also have a bachelor degree in education from Malmö University here in Sweden, and a bachelor degree in history from Bishop's University in Canada. I've had the privilege to travel around the world on the SS Universe. So I'm an alumni of Semester at Sea. In 1995, I went around the world on a ship, and I was studying together with 400 students. Then I also had the privilege to study during a summer in Mexico, and I spent a winter in Chile in 2000. I've visited more than 60 countries since 1992, and my main hobby is to write songs, and I sing, and I participate in 2 bands, Atlas Vault and Omes, but Atlas Vault is my main project where I'm the front man and the songwriter. So this is my passion, one of my passions, because I've got many. And my research interest includes, like I said before, transdisciplinary education, sustainable and active learning. But I'm really concerned about the whole holistic approach. And that's why I'm so keen on using 40 Frame as a pedagogical tool for education. So now let's continue here. I'm just going to close this here. And there you go. You should have my full screen. So today's main topic is how to make learning sustainable, playful, and immersive while integrating different types of material, methods, and school subjects. And how do teachers nurture the inventors and problem solvers of the future by developing creativity? I believe that this is the most important thing we're going to need in the future. So why pedagogical materials such as 40 Frame ought to be used in a multitude of school topics and in conjunction with other types of materials in order to contribute to the advancement of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So this is going to be the main topic of the seminar today. So Charlotte Graham and I are working on an upcoming book where we promote the idea of sustainable, integrative, active learning. So here is just a sketch of the front cover. It's not going to be the final product. This is just like a draft that I made on Photoshop, just to conceptualize the ideas that we are promoting in this book. And we will have also the privilege to have the book translated into Korean, hopefully in other languages. Right now, we're writing it in English. It's going very well. We're doing like the final reading right now. It's more than 236 pages. We're really excited to present this because we think that there's some revolutionary ideas in there. And you can see also in the cover, in the art cover, these bubbles can represent the 5 different branches of STEAM, but also different school subjects. And where they overlap in the middle, that is the transdisciplinary, and that's where it becomes really sustainable. Sustainable learning is the key there. But yeah, it introduces transdisciplinary and holistic methods, relational and collaborative teaching, example and inspiration for teachers, perspective on the future of education. So I might go back to this to give more details. But before anything, I need to explain what I mean by sustainable learning. So the philosophy of sustainable learning is not a teaching method to educate about sustainability. it's a way to educate sustainably. So it aims at providing a learning experience for maximal knowledge retention. The core aspect is the durability of the acquired educational content and the skills in a long-term perspective. So the goal is to learn for life. It's not just to memorize something to get a good grade on a test a few days later. It is something that we're trying to promote, the idea that by doing hands-on work with materials like 40 Frame or others, that this contributes to a lifelong learning experience. And what is active learning? Well, active learning aims at greater involvement of students in learning. It doesn't necessarily require any kind of specific material, and it involves students doing activities other than listening, watching, and taking notes. So we will demonstrate also that active learning is not only hands-on working with your hands. There's a wide range of active learning methods. But the importance of active learning, here there's a great quote by Neil deGrasse Tyson, which says, "We spend the first year of a child's life teaching it to walk and talk, and the rest of its life to shut up and sit down. There is something wrong there." So he's got a good point here. We really need to encourage the kids to participate more, not to be passive learners, just listening in the traditional way where we teachers sit in front of a class, everyone facing us, where we are talking and people are taking notes. We need to make this more integrative, more active, and that's why we are strong advocate for everything that will lead to a sustainable learning experience. One example, the first one, is that we're thinking about gamification of education, playful learning, or game-based learning. And this will encourage the students to become self-taught. And it's a great way also to do team building, because this is also something extremely important for the future. We are going to be forced to teach our students to collaborate in a better way, because the jobs of the future will require team cooperation. Here's an example of something we did on the last day of school this term, just before the Christmas break. We've had a theme day where we were supposed to promote the values, the core values of the school, and I decided to use 40 Frame to do a classic now. It's that they have to take a table tennis ball, or a ping pong ball if you prefer, and they have to go from one end to the class to the other, and everybody needs to contribute. I just put the material there. They have to find solutions. They fail multiple times before they succeed. And you see, it's so nice to see that they're not giving up. Everyone is trying to fix a part of the track. And at the end, when they succeed, like in this example, it creates a feeling of joy. And guess what they will remember from the term? It's often these fun activities. It's the things that inspire them, because they've been doing something with their hands. They made connection with their classmates. So game-based learning is extremely valuable. Of course, we still need to do like the theoretical aspects and learn about facts. But these fun activities, it also helps the student to enjoy school, and then they're less likely to drop out. So we want to encourage this kind of feeling of satisfaction. And here's the example where the students are finally succeeding after an hour of issues. So here's the ball going down, and you can see that they are going all the way from one end to the other. They made a basket here, and you should have heard the cheers when they succeed, because they fail multiple times. And I think this is also an essential thing that we have to think about. Learning through mistakes is a great way to learn, because problem solving is a great quality. Sorry, go to the next slide. So my main source of inspiration for integrative and transdisciplinary learning is the inventor of 40 Frame, the famous South Korean architect Hogul Park, who's with us today. Thank you very much. Here we see a picture of him in front of a Walker water tower. And last week you heard about this in the other great conference. And here are 4 of my students who competed in the latest IMSCC finals, which was held online, like Mariana said, where they had to invent some device to wash hands without using too much water during the COVID-19 crisis. Again, extremely rewarding experience for my students and for myself as well. We are all familiar that 4D frame and mechatronics are integrated now, because we've been competing in the IMSCC finals 2 years in a row now in the mechatronics category. And these products are made to work together. So you see the application is easy to use. When you use 4D frame material with mechatronics, it is perfectly adapted because it's light, it's sturdy, it's strong. It uses these Arduino connectors. And if you attach a simple power bank to it or any type of batteries, it is extremely reliable. But now, the next few ideas are more like to ask you together, like the whole community, if we can come up with more ideas of like combinations like we have between mechatronics and 4D frame for the eventual or the upcoming international mathematical science creativity competition of the future. So this great competition in Gyeonggi Science Museum in South Korea is extremely inspiring. So let's try to find new ways together. And here are some suggestions on how to integrate different materials together with 4D frame. So we will focus on these types of pedagogical materials. Like, first of all, I've been experimenting with Lego Spike Prime recently, which is a new product, and our school was chosen to be a pilot school in this. Of course, I mentioned the drones, M-bots, but also like simpler things that are analog, like building cars with mouse traps as a power source or elastics. Maybe sometimes go towards the simpler stuff, like recycle old ideas with new materials. So we can add parts of 4D frame to Lego Spike Prime, like in this example here. It can be simple, but the opposite is more interesting. I think that if we add Lego Spike Prime parts to a larger 4D frame system, that's where things get interesting. Next slide here. This is an example of a project that my students are working on right now for another contest. And since it is like a work in progress, I cannot tell you too much about it, so I will leave some suspense here. But the idea here is to invent a machine while using 4D frame and Lego Spike Prime to find a way to store energy. So we all know that there's some green energy that goes to waste at night, because, for example, we have windmills here in Sweden. The wind blows at night and the demand is too low, so there's some energy that goes to waste. So what if the students manage to find, with this invention, a creative solution on how to store this surplus of energy that goes to waste at night to be used instantly when needed, when there's a peak in the demand. So the whole idea is to flatten the curve. And now I know it's very trendy to talk about flattening the curve in the context of COVID-19, but it's also very important for the future of mankind to be able to flatten the curve of energy, because there is a lack of energy at a certain period of time during the day. But if a device like this, which can charge like this, like it's demonstrated here, when there's a surplus of energy at night, something up that is light, and then the students have conceptualized that you add some weight to this when you want to create more energy. So in this case here, they will fill it with water. So this will be like in the charge position. Imagine now there's a rush in demand and they need more electricity right away to power, let's say, a factory. They just add water to it and it can go down a hole, a very deep hole, like in a mine, for example, or it can be built in altitude, or it can be built in a mountain. So then this will pull down and generate electricity with a generator or some type of turbine. So this is a work in progress. And you see here in the construction, to conceptualize this, they use the motor from Lego Spike Prime, which is a great product. Here I have an example that I will demonstrate a bit later. I don't know if you can see it well, but it is a Mind Cuber. I know that Christophe is a great fan of Rubik cubes. So this, the hub here of the Lego Spike Prime prototype has an algorithm that can solve a Rubik cube with the robot. I know it loses the purpose of solving the Rubik cube, but it's a very ingenious way of solving it as well. So here was the first example on how to merge 4D frame together with other materials such as Lego Spike Prime. So now this video is going to be a bit longer, and I'm going to comment a few ideas here just as a type of brainstorm. But I want to stress the importance of creative workshops for hands-on learning. And 4D frame is always included in this. And it's an integrative pedagogical material because, like I said, I can use 4D frame even when I teach history and geography, not only technology. And these are the 3 subjects I teach at Bilingual Montessori School of Lund. So as I play this video, I will comment, and I hope it's going to inspire you to find other ideas. So once the students have learned the basics of 4D frame, the first step is to teach them how to use it with mechatronics. This is some footage from the IMSCC final where my students, Christopher and Uri, are designing their own car where they have to complete an obstacle race. They did very well. But before that, you see here another student who is like working on problem solving. His prototype is not responding properly to the commands of his mobile device. So he's trying to solve the problem. Here I use some footage from a brilliant little girl from Hong Kong, Claire, and I encourage you to visit and to subscribe to her YouTube channel. She is absolutely fantastic. So her YouTube channel is called ElectroClaire, and there she demonstrates how the app works with simple mechanical devices that are including mechatronics and 4D frame. Here is my daughter Svea in Quebec City trying another prototype, and here in the forest in Canada, where she experiments with different types of wheels for different types of terrain. Let's say here in the grass, sometimes it's going to be in the gravel. And of course, mechatronics is so light, so easy to adapt to 4D frame. So you can easily transform the prototype and make it more adapted to the different types of terrain. Here we see solar panels that can be used for a future competition, maybe, like have, let's say, race between different cars that are built with solar panels. I mentioned these drones. This is some footage from Korea here, where 4D frame has become like the frame for the drones. That could also be something interesting to have a drone competition at the IMSCC finals, maybe with some type of obstacle race. Here, there's a MBOT with a hypercube. I've seen before in some of the pictures that Hogul Park and Christophe have shared that they have designed some type of worker tower on top of these kind of robots. But the first step is to let students experiment. You give them a lot of material and they need to try. They connect different batteries, they connect different systems. And this is a way to learn to become creative. You see here they experiment with different materials, and they need to get inspiration. Here's an example from Theo Jansen, a Dutch artist. And once they observe and see these types of construction, it can inspire them to create new mechanical devices with 4D frame. And here's another thing that you can see how well adapted 4D frame and Lego are. You see the Lego Spike Prime parts like I have in my hands right now. They fit perfectly together. So it could be nice also eventually to have some type of collaboration between Lego, a Danish product, and 4D frame. So any types of robots, here are different, like older kinds of Lego robots, Arduino, and yeah, of course, any type of material where we can replicate what we can do with 4D frame. Just like here, they learn to do a Sierpinski tetrahedron, and this can be applied with other materials, such as here, a team building activity with struck tubes, where students are encouraged to build it together and apply what they have learned with 4D frame to do different things, also to design bridges. But everything that they learn, they can apply later on in hands-on activity. And this is the thing that makes it sustainable. But one thing I would love to see more, I know that it happens a lot in Korea, is to see internationally more students making tutorial videos, just like this one made by Matilda and Amélie, two of my students, who explain how to build their wind-powered seed drill. That was inspired by a lecture I had about the agricultural revolution. I was talking about the invention of the seed drill by Jethro Tull, and they just had the idea of making an improved version that is wind-powered using the principles they have learned in school. And they produced a tutorial video to show how it's built. So the idea with this is that the more the students will see how things are done, the more it will generate new ideas, because there is no real new ideas. Everything comes from inspiration. Just like in this example here, they conceptualize a piston that is used as a water pump, sorry. And the students have taken some inspiration from other subjects and brought them together. Here, for example, it was the early prototype of the moon drill, where the students have designed a drill to drill the surface of the moon to extract the helium-3 from the regolith dust on the moon. And helium-3 is an essential gas that is very rare on Earth. But like right now, you know that like a few days ago in Korea, you guys have managed to power a fusion reactor for more than 20 seconds. And this is extremely exciting and revolutionary. So we will need a type of fuel that is clean in order to power these incredible sources of energy in the future. So this is a creative idea of, there's no stupid idea when you're brainstorming and trying to find new solution for the problems of the future. Another example here of the things they have learned through basic mechanics, how to make cogwheel systems that are interacting, gearboxes, and there my students invented some type of wind-powered windmill boat. And of course, the great thing with the competition called Enlightening Imagination is that the students compete, they invent something, and they're encouraged to improve and redesign their invention. So you can see that pure creativity needs also a step where you need to assess, redesign, and develop your thoughts. So for this, it requires a lot of hands-on activities. Here, all the students have learned on how to design different windmills and how well they can catch the wind. And that can lead to another more advanced system, like the one here that Julie and Elisa are showing, where they added Archimedes screw to a wind-powered source. Here, the quick video is from Hong Kong, Electroclair again, that created something extremely functional, yet simple, but it is the kind of creative thinking that we need for the future. And we need to encourage the kids to think outside the box, because that's what we need. And for us teachers, in order to teach our kids to think outside the box, we need to learn to teach outside the books. So that's why we need to do more hands-on activities and be less traditional. And this is the whole premise of our book, is on how to really make this learning experience more sustainable so we can promote lifelong learning. And one of this part of integrative learning is embodied cognition. And the students are learning through different interdisciplinary methods. And in this example, at the end of my history chapter about ancient Greece, I asked the student to design their own catapults. But instead of just building a catapult like this in technology, I made a link between the evolution of technology in a historical perspective. So now they knew that at the end of Alexander the Great's conquest, some Greek have come up with the first kinds of catapults. And they will understand that if they design this, they will encounter the same problems that the first people who invented this have encountered when they first designed it. So an evolutionary perspective, they will also understand later on when we talk about the Roman Empire, how this piece of technology was improved and advanced, and it became eventually the trebuchet, which is a different type of device that throws projectiles. And there I built a wall of paper cups, and I asked the student to destroy it. So we bring some fun in the classroom. The students are learning about ancient Greece. They will remember that this gave a competitive advantage to the armies of Alexander the Great. So when we finish the chapter about the Hellenic period of ancient Greece, they will remember the activity about this. Yes, you see here, perfect shot. They will remember this activity where they had fun learning. So by making learning playful, it is really rewarding. Here is another example where the students see these kinds of pictures in their history books, or they can see them online, but it will probably be forgotten. However, when you ask them to recreate one while using 40 frame, this makes their learning experience sustainable. Not only this, you notice in a few other prototypes, the ideas that they have learned a couple of years ago when they built this, when they were in grade 7, then they can apply the same principles when they are coming in grade 8 and 9, and they did the same thing when they built this hand washer with Archimedes screw, and also their power saving device that I demonstrated that was built together with Lego Spike Prime. So the same principle of the wheel was recycled and reused to improve. And I think that the best inventions of the future will be some type of hybrid between different ideas. And in order to generate this kind of inspiration, we need the students to experiment, to learn to be problem solvers, and to inspire them to become more creative in the future. So here it's basically the same principle as a hamster wheel. So again, I talk a lot about 40 frame, and you know that I love it. It's my favorite pedagogical material to conceptualize. However, it doesn't require expensive materials to really create a great sustainable learning experience. One good idea also is to recycle materials. Here with cardboard boxes and a few syringes and tubes, the students are learning about basic robotics while using hydraulics. You can see here the syringes are filled with water, and we use food colorant to really make a distinction between the different parts of the robot hand. And they all need to learn to steer it and to control it. But this is also part of what we call the gamification of education. This playful learning is sustainable because then you encourage them to design their own games. And gamification is not only using digital platforms and to play video games on a screen. It can also be analog, like this one here, where we have a maze. The students have designed their own maze. They have to collaborate to learn to steer it together. They put marble in it, and they have designed some traps, some doors, and then it becomes fun because they are challenged by their own creation. And yes, of course, this is just a game, but learning to do this might open doors and also give them the tools to be able to come up with really useful ideas in the future. Here we can see that they encounter a little problem, someone's going to act, and then they might end up in a trap if they're not too careful. But by making this learning experience exciting, again, they will remember this forever. And next time they build something like this, now they got trapped, they have to start again. They will avoid the mistakes that they've made when they built their first prototypes. So everything they build is a step towards improvement. Just like here, we see an improvement of the Da Vinci Bridge. The students have learned early on how to build bridges without using any connectors or glue. And now they apply this to make this little bridge for a 40-frame device. Learning to steer robots is also a knowledge requirement in Sweden. Most of the time we think about steering robots with a mobile device like we do with mechatronics, but it can also be analog. And I think that the best way to conceptualize digital things is to learn to play or learn to do something in an analog way. Of course, if you think about music, someone who's making computer music will probably be better at computer music if they can also play a real instrument. So in this case, we are promoting the fact that analog programming and analog steering of devices can be beneficial for the future in how to develop new ideas that are either analog or digital. One thing that I really want to stress on is that when I talk about Lego device or IKEA, is often that there is a pedagogical value to learning to follow instructions and to assemble objects when you follow a plan, for example. However, once these basic concepts are acquired, we should advocate for more creativity in design. Here, the example of my students have followed the instructions to build a little bug or an insect with Lego Spike Prime. They learn to follow the instructions. They know how the pieces fit together now. But once they have acquired these things, we should really let them become creative and let them experiment with the material so they come up with their own ideas. And now I say it is important to learn to follow instructions, especially coming from a teacher. I know it's important, but to assemble an IKEA furniture is sometimes a bit challenging, but it is part of the learning process. So this step should never be forgotten. And that's why to learn to follow instructions, even when you create like simpler 40-frame structures, is also part of learning. That's why I introduce my students in grade 7 to 40-frame, and by showing them some examples as well. So pure creativity doesn't exist. You need to have sources of inspiration as well. And now I'm going to show like another concept. Here I've got like the Rubik Cube prime cube solver. Here's a video of how this algorithm can be applied in a creative way to solve the Rubik Cube. Basically, now you're going to have a sensor that can recognize the colors on the Rubik Cube. Then it goes into the hub. It will analyze each surface, and the Lego Spike Prime robot will solve the Rubik Cube in less than 2 minutes in average. So it's interesting to see if you are competing with your robot to see who will finish it first. Needless to say that even if I use this like easier Rubik Cube, the robot wins against me every time. You can see now it's ready, and it starts to solve the Rubik Cube, and it will be solved in less than 2 minutes. Well, you might say that, yeah, we're losing the point of the whole game, but the idea here is that David Gilday, who designed this robot, he is not only learning to solve the Rubik cubes, it's just that the whole coding, the whole programming, the whole idea of designing this, it is knowledge that can be passed on. And when the students learn to recreate this, just like they follow the instructions for IKEA furniture or Lego models, they are still learning. And if they are able to recreate the robot itself and learn to replicate the coding that is necessary, the whole algorithm to solve the Rubik Cube, this knowledge will be used in the future to make something more useful, more maybe something that might save the world. I mean, we see now that Japan just landed a probe on an asteroid, and we're all excited to see what they brought back. But the people who designed this, they first started to learn in a playful way because we needed to nurture this thirst for knowledge, this autodidacticism, or the passion of self-learning. And this is a perfect example of a source of inspiration with Lego Spike Prime, where you see now the cube is solved. And when it's solved, the robot is very happy and is showing off. So what I mean here is that this toy can lead to something much greater in the future. And we have to see all of these as like our actions as teachers is to plant seeds of creativity in our students' mind. So we give another example of 40 frame that can be used for conceptualization in music, programming, and technology. As I mentioned before, I think analog programming and coding is often neglected by us teachers. So we need to go back to the basics sometimes. And here we see some students who are making like a track to create some type of wheel organ for glockenspiel that will be wind powered, of course, because now the students know how to build an efficient windmill with 40 frame. So by attaching a windmill to, to 40 frame structure, we encourage them after this. I'm going to put the volume here. Wait a second. I'm just going to see if I can move this. Technical problem here. I'm sorry. I'm going to start this again. It's important that you see this for those of you who haven't seen one of my previous lectures. I have to be patient 1 second. So the idea here is that we are going to, it's so sad. I've got something blocking my, wait, I might have a solution. If I click here, I'm sorry about this technical issue. Here. Unfortunately, it's not working. Maybe someone can give me a tip on how to move.
Excuse me, probably
yes?
you can try to find
I got it. I found it. Thank you very much. Okay, now, so this analog programming is that once it's programmed on the 40 frame wheel organ, we can sample it and let the students be creative and adding bass line, drum lines in a music program. So we make a link between analog and digital. So here we see like the wind-powered wheel organ, creating a simple 4/4 melody. It's wind-powered with an electric fan. And this can easily be sampled into a loop. Here you see the programming. It's the triggers. And then you add bass and drum. And by making these types of jingles, the students learn to integrate analog and digital together. So the integration of analog and digital is very important. Again, 40 frame is excellent to teach basic mechanical concepts. And here we are often using in my class different old videos from the 1930s from the US auto industry.
Now we have levers that turn.
Show the students.
The larger paddle wheel makes fewer turns, but it delivers more force. A paddle wheel is nothing but a never-ending series of levers. We can make the wheels stronger and lessen friction where the wheels touch each other by rounding off the edges and shaping them into teeth that will slide in and out smoothly. Now, the power flows smoothly and continuously through spinning leverage of gear wheels. Gears are made in many kinds and many sizes. Little gears, big gears, worm gears, Now we have levers that turn.
So we see that once we learn the basics like this, using some old footage that out to be recreated in a more modern way, we can easily teach this to our students using 4D frame. And again, all these gears, like I said before, they can also be integrated together with Lego Spike Prime or other Lego devices, because they are really fitting well together. So you can see that they are like almost, I think it was probably one of the idea of Hogul Pak to make them compatible when they were originally designed. Here is a video about the IMSCC finals. I will skip this one now because we are like short in time, but if you have the chance to see it on YouTube, it is extremely exciting to see the students when they build their prototypes, when they try to solve this obstacle race. Again, problem solving at its best.
파이팅! 우선
You can see here. And in order to really conclude my presentation, I feel the need also to introduce the next speaker, and also part of this brainstorm that I would like to initiate with my presentation is that the art of balancing has been neglected a lot among like in the branch of STEAM, and I'm glad that you invited Rocky to do this presentation. By doing some research, I discovered this really exciting device called the Kubli. And now, of course, just like my my prototype of the Rubik Cube solver, it's a bit of cheating. It loses the points of balancing. However, this machine uses a series of gyroscopes in order to keep this cube well balanced. And we're going to see here in the video how exciting it is, where the cube can still stay perfectly balanced with the use of technology. Again, I guess that the person who invented that had to learn about balancing first, of course, the basic concepts of like this art of balancing stuff, but also how to design and how to use robots, frames. So these ideas, they didn't come like this. This person who invented this device, or this group of persons who invented this device, they needed to learn in an evolutionary step-by-step process, where at some point, some teacher or educator or someone inspired them to think outside the box, to learn to do something creative. And that's why I'm a strong advocate for sustainable learning. Here we go. So it's going to be really exciting to see the next part of the presentation. So wait a second. Like again, now I'm just going to tell again, the name of our upcoming book is going to be Sustainable and Integrative Active Learning. There is far more themes that we cover in that also. It's not only about the things that I talked about today. This is actually just part of a chapter. But we want to nurture creativity in design and engineering while solving the problems of today in order to overcome the challenges of tomorrow. And I know I don't have much time left, but before I say my final thank you, I would really like to go back to this slide here where I talked about the books, because I think it's important. If I have some time left, I don't know if it's 2 minutes. Yes, 2 more minutes.
Yes, you have. Just go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So if you look at the idea behind like the sketch we have for the cover of the book, like each bubble here represents a different school topic. It can be science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and arts, but it can also be biology, geography, mathematics, home economics, and even like, let's say like, it can be anything. It can be like social science or, so the idea of integration is that the students will learn in a more like a lifelong like way of learning if we manage to erase the boundaries between these like intradisciplinary fortresses of knowledge. If we are focusing on where these different subjects overlap, we are going to create a much more sustainable way of learning. So this goes into an evolutionary process. We have like the different subjects which have their own like sub-subjects included. We all know that, for example, mathematics has trigonometry and geometry and statistics, etc. But it is still one subject. If mathematics and biology are merged together and we focus on an area that is like in between, or when I teach geography and my colleague, the physics teacher, when we basically teach the same thing twice to our students, if we focus on the geophysics aspect where the two subjects are merging, this will make more sense to our students, and we're going to save time teaching these things. This time that we save, we can invest in nurturing creative thinkers by doing more fun learning activities like the one I demonstrated here, the few ones I demonstrated here, because there's much more to discover. And if we are merging more than 3 subjects, then it becomes more cross-disciplinary. And when the whole curriculum is put together, then it's truly transdisciplinary. And that adds up this socio-emotional aspect to it, which makes the whole learning experience holistic. So it means that the whole thing becomes a rewarding experience. And we all know that sometimes we will forget what the teacher has said or done in class. And that's part of learning, is not only to memorize what the teacher is saying. Sometimes we will forget what the teacher is saying or what's written in the book, but we will never forget how we felt when we learned something new and we discovered something new. And this holistic feeling is essential to sustainable learning. Thank you very much.
Bravo, bravo, Philippe. Thank you very much. It was an amazing collection, what you have shown us. And you started with your passions, that you introduced yourself also as a private person, and you talked about your passions. But I think we all can agree that your real passion is teaching and sharing all these amazing experiences, what you gone through as a teacher together with your students. So many different kind of creativities. I think we should use this word creativity not anymore as a singular word, but we should recognize that there are many different kind of creativities, and you apparently build on all of this with your students. And it's so nice to see how many encouragement you can give to your students. So also these many videos which you collected from your own practice, I think not only shown us these multifaceted opportunities with these tools, but also these many different kind of opportunities and potentials what a child, what a young person has. And I think we as educators have to work more, that each of our students, each of our friends, each of our fellow citizens become much more themselves, right? So this is also like of a self-fulfillment process, and these potentials can folding out in these kind of processes. And it was so amazing to see that how you pay attention to all these different wishes. And you also mentioned engagement and also to fight against the dropout, right? So this is a big problem in global education. So I think you not only won this match against dropout, but I'm sure that your students want to spend extra time in school, and maybe they would be eager to visit sometimes in the holiday time this your classroom. So yeah, and I'm sure that not only me, but many of the participants have also comments and questions already. And actually, it's my pleasure to tell you that we have participants from 25 countries. So this is also an amazing attention worldwide, what these wonderful achievements, initiations get here through this seminar. So I would like to encourage all of you to switch on your camera and microphone and come in the front with your questions and comments. You don't even need to wait for me to give you the word, but you can just switch on, turn on your device and make your comments and questions. Actually, while you are collecting your thoughts, we already have some questions. So Steve Jacobs had a question. I don't know, Steve, if you want to make this question live now, if you want to repeat it, what you just wrote in the chat.
Well, sure.
Thank you.
There you go. Hi there. Hey, it's 25 countries. That's amazing. It's what time is it? It's 2 o'clock in the morning here in the United States. That's amazing. We'd stay. Hey, Philippe, I was wondering, the 4D frame materials are so wonderful. I've played with them for years. But have you noticed in your experience, do the 4D frame materials work better, or do they do exceptionally well with any specific age groups or grade levels? You know, have you seen a pattern?
Yes, here in Sweden, I usually teach grades 7 to 9. And for the mechanical concepts that I described, or some that I've described, it's perfectly adapted. And grades 7 to 9 here in Sweden is, students between the age of 12 and 15. It's a really great age for that. However, in a way to teach, in a, again, sustainable way, I think one of the best way to learn is to learn to teach. So every year, once the students have acquired the basic knowledge in 4D frame in grade 7, I bring them down to the students in grade 2. So that they have to teach the grade 2 students to build simpler cars, and they are building in a very, very creative way. And they are the ones who are thinking really outside the box, the very little one. Sometimes they find like solutions that we adults will never come up with. And so this is very interesting to also encourage the different age group to collaborate. And you know, the 7th graders are learning a lot by teaching the small kids, because I just go there with material. I don't say a word. I just take a few pictures here and there. And that age group works perfectly well. I've also seen at the IMSCC that there's different categories, and I've seen like 5-year-old kids building stuff that my 15-year-old students will never be able to build. I've seen like fantastic devices with multiple cogwheel system interacting efficiently without being like entangled. So it's extremely inspiring. I know that Christophe and Mariana were judged in that category a few years ago at the Science Museum in Korea. And it was totally amazing to see how these 5 or 6-year-old kids were performing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve Jacobs, for being with us and took the courage to make this question personally. Great. Thank you. I would like to encourage everyone to follow Steve's example. Until you collect more questions or comments, we also received some questions even beforehand. And I think many of these questions, like at least partially, have been answered by your presentation. But let me return to a point what a professor from Indonesia, from the Pendidikan University, made. He or she had a question: how should we deal with the students' diversity in the Convergence education? What's your opinion, how you handle the situation that you have many different kind of learners, different kind of thinkers with different potentials? So how you can respond to all these challenges?
I think it's a great question, first of all, and I am for diversity. And our school, I have the privilege to work in an international school in Sweden, where not only we have diversity of types of learners, like the one you mentioned in your question, but we also have a diversity of cultures, a diversity of languages. And in every occurrence, I think this is an advantage, not only when we are trying to work and adapt individually, but also for team working. The more we have and take advantage of the fact that there's a diversity, we can build things that are much more creative. Not only build, but learn differently. Our school has a multilingual approach, where it's of course a Swedish school, but we teach a lot of our subjects in English or in French. And this is really good. And then, in my opinion, then starting in grade 6, students can add another language. It can be Spanish. And this diversity of language also contributes to the concept acquisition skills. So by having this multilingual approach, students learn concepts in English, but also in Swedish and French sometimes. So it develops their vocabulary, their understanding of some concepts. But the fact that they have like different backgrounds, it will contribute to the different ways of thinking. Because, you know, like we all say, like we think differently in different languages. And I mean, on a daily basis, I speak 3 to 4 languages. I had the privilege to learn Spanish when I was in South America, but now Swedish has become my 3rd language, really. But by doing this mental gymnastic of going from one language to the other, it is a form of diversity as well. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just also I just started to think about that when you mentioned your passions. You haven't mentioned tinkering or repairing stuff or this kind of hands-on activities that was somehow missing from the list, and it just made me think that have you been always like a hands-on learner, a hands-on person, or 4D frame did something with your mind, with your mindset, because apparently it made a big impact on your teaching practice. But I just started to think that maybe 4D frame opened some doors to you towards hands-on experiences as well. I don't know, but please, if you could open it up a bit.
It's absolutely the case. To be self-taught, yes. I mean, I love to teach myself stuff. For example, music. I never took music classes. I like to learn things hands-on. Nowadays with YouTube, it's easy to go and learn something with the help of a tutorial. So if you have this thirst for knowledge and this creative mindset, you are like looking for new information and new ways to learn. But yes, 4D frame has opened a whole new universe to me. Not only the persons that I met through that, for instance, like Stefan at Vattenhallen in Lund here, or Mariana for Nordic 4D frame, or Hogul Park, or you, Christoph. So each person becomes an open book. You meet people, you are learning new stuff from them, and it opens new path to discover new things. By the way, I started to discover this idea of the mind cuber here after watching your video about the 40th anniversary of the Rubik Cube. So you see, we inspire each other to develop, to find new paths, to really advance this discipline of STEAM. And I think that we all have something to learn from each other. Just like I said before, I think each individual is an open book, and we always have something to learn from someone else. And I guess that I'm trying to make the point here that even though I'm not a mathematician, I'm a historian and a geographer, I feel that you make me able to contribute to the advancement of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics without being an expert in any of those branches.
Thank you very much, Philippe. It's amazing to hear it. And yes, actually, I just can't wait to try many things which you just shown in your presentation. That's absolutely true. And I'm sure that I'm not alone with this. And I also believe that these videos of these presentations in this seminar are so valuable because of this. So we will share these videos, and I'm sure that it will lead to grow this community what we are nurturing here, and also the ideas will grow through this community. Actually, we had another interesting question which was submitted beforehand. I think it was a researcher from Indonesia again, and he or she was interested about the competences, the key competences, what play a big role in these competitions, in the IMSCC competences in Korea, what you just referred to. So what do you think, what are those main competence areas, what can be developed through participating in this kind of events?
Now I'm not sure if it's the competence for the students or the competence for the teachers we're talking about, but let me address both.
Both, yes, please.
Let's start with the teacher. I personally think that the competence of the teacher are somehow irrelevant if the teacher is humble enough to provide the material and let the students think creatively, because we as teachers have to be humble. We have to understand that some students will surpass us and will teach us new stuff as they're discovering. And it's the whole goal. We want our students to surpass people of our generation. We want to inspire them. So we teachers, as long as we provide the opportunity, we are doing something good. So like I said, I'm not really highly qualified in programming and coding, but I provide an opportunity to make sense of what they're doing. By integrating 4D frame in my history classes and in geography, I provide them an opportunity to become more free thinkers. And as I learn from my students, more than they learn from me some days. So one day I just give them a task and I observe what they're doing. I see where they encounter problems, how they solve them. And I'm trying to do like continuous assessment with them, try to give them tips, congratulate them when they manage to solve a problem creatively and also collaboratively, because this is one of the main aspects of our book, how to learn to collaborate, not only teachers, but also students. And in this transdisciplinary approach that I promote and that we promote in our book, a teacher doesn't need to be an expert in everything. We don't need a Leonardo da Vinci in every classroom. Together as a team, we become that super teacher because we complete each other. I can have support from the biology teacher, the maths teacher, even the gym teacher, and we become more like a whole. And this is the whole point with holistic learning. When our students are going to see the team as one resource of people collaborating efficiently together, then we're going to create a much more creative workplace. Then the students' competence, they don't need much competence. What they need to do is the will to explore, the thirst of knowledge, and of course, not to be discouraged, because the whole point is that you have to learn from your mistakes. And if you are making mistakes, it means that it's a good thing, because it means that you're doing something new and different. And if you learn to do this and you learn not to repeat these mistakes when you're building prototypes and such, you are learning for life, because you will remember again, like I mentioned, how this act of learning made you feel more than the act of learning itself. So you will always remember how it made you feel. And this feeling of fulfillment when you're done with an essay, or when you're done with a paper, or when you're done with a prototype, this is the thing that we really need to bring forth and show that it is an essential part of the learning process. Make the students happy about what they're doing. And I think that materials such as 4D frame are a great way to bring joy in the classroom. And this joy of learning is the main competence that the students need to be able to compete at a high level at the IMSCC finals.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, what you just told about the importance of collaborative teaching, team teaching. So we were talking a lot about collaborative learning, but it's also the time to talk about collaborative teaching as well, and also have the encouragement to teachers that they don't need to be polymaths or whatever, but they can combine their different kind of creativities, and that will result in a better education for sure. Okay, there's a question which just recurring in each seminars, it seems so. So there is a big excitement about innovations, especially towards AI, and AI in learning, artificial intelligence in education, artificial intelligence in the classroom. It seems to be a really interesting and maybe a little bit, how can I say, questionable possibility what the future or today will already bring to us. So may I ask you just very shortly, what's your comment on that, if you have any AI in the classroom?
Right now, I mean, AI is already everywhere.
Yes.
We have a whole chapter at the end of our book about this, but not only AI, but also like everything that is going towards this, including virtual reality, augmented reality. But we are like not only like looking at the avenues for improvement in education, but like we're looking at things, for example, like automated or computerized assessment tools to be able to identify the needs of the students and to help the students, the teachers, to better plan their classes, and also how to better adapt to each student's needs. But yes, the AI right now, I mean, I just showed this Rubik Cube solver. It goes with an algorithm, just like the social network platform. And since we are going to have more and more artificial intelligence available, we need to tame it if we want to be able to use it the right way. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are very pessimistic about this fast development, and we do have to be careful with that. But in the context of learning through or with the help of artificial intelligence, if I could name just, for example, Deep Blue in '96, it's already amazing that such a long time ago we had a computer who could beat Garry Kasparov at chess. Nowadays we have things that are far more powerful, and I feel that we're still in control of that. And if there's an area of the world that should be well regulated, is probably the development of artificial intelligence, especially in the context where we want to include it more and more in education, and we want to use creative thinking as the main source of pedagogical focus. Then we need to tame it in order to be able to really use artificial intelligence in a good way. But again, I'm promoting the book we're writing, but there's the book finishes with a whole chapter about the importance of this, and also we address the philosophy of transhumanism, and we bring something in the epistemological aspect as well of what are the main challenges around education and the slow overtaking of artificial intelligence. Just yesterday, I downloaded an app that can solve math problem with a click. It is cheating again. It's just like my Mindcuber who can solve a Rubik Cube. But in a way, we have to get used to that, because memorizing stuff doesn't have the same importance today as it used to be. If you have good critical thinking skills and you are able to sort information that's not trustworthy with the real information, if you acquire these skills as a student, you are just a few clicks away from all the information you need. So the need for memorization that we had when we were in school, when we were younger, of just learning by heart, has lost a bit of its purpose nowadays. And since we have access to so much information in so many different platforms, I think it's more important to develop critical thinking skills than memorizing formulas or maps or the periodic system, or name it. So information and artificial intelligence, they are the key of future education, but we need to, like I said, be able to keep them in a leash or tame it.
Thank you very much for this future-looking perspective what you offered for the end of this session. Bravo! It was fantastic, and we are all absolutely impressed. There are some more questions coming in. It seems that always in the last minute, that's the most important. So, but in the same time, we have to move on in the program. So I recommend that all those who has more questions, more comments, please stay with us, definitely stay with us for the next session, for the next talk, and we can extend the discussion with all of you after the next talk, and you can make your questions or comments for both of the presentations in the final question and answer sessions, or you can just put your comment or question in the chat, and I will take care of those information to share with our presenters. Actually, Matthias Kaukolinna from Finland just wrote that the learning to learn, this competency, the learning to learn how to learn, it's so important also to be creative and to be skillful. And we will return to all these questions. And now I say thank you for Philippe for being here and share with us this fantastic content. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce a great friend whom I never met yet physically, but at least I'm so impressed by his videos and these photographs from 4D Frame Studio, and this collaboration between Rocky Byun and Mr. Hogul Park. I think it will lead just to more surprises and more amazing content. And actually, Rocky Byun has a very important talk and presentation to share with us. It's called Find Your Center. I think we need all needs to find our center after this very challenging year. And the best person to help us to find our center is no one else than Rocky Byun, balancing artist from Korea. So the floor is yours, my friend. It's so great honor to have you with us. So please go ahead, Rocky Byun, and show us how to find our center. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm a person who keeps balance. What am I talking about? I'll show you. 이거를 바로 보이나 봐봐.
한번
박 대표님.
네, 말씀하세요.
이 병이 보이나요, 이거?
조금 더 카메라 밑으로 내리시면, 예, 됩니다. 이제 됩니다.
됐어요?
네.
자, 얘까지 보이나요? 얘까지? 위까지 안 보이죠?
현장 보이는데 병 위에 두둥이가 안 보여요.
아, 오케이. 자, 지금부터 이제 제가 중심 잡기를 보여드리겠습니다.
I'm balancing art performance.
자, 요게 제일 약한 겁니다. 이제 몸
This
풀기.
is a very basic stage. Let's move on.
이 병들은 여러분이 흔히 볼 수 있는 병들이에요.
Those bottles are really common. You can see it everywhere.
제가 이렇게 흔하게 있는 병을 쓰는 이유는 내가 특별한 병을 사용하지 않는다는 것을 보여주기 위해서예요.
The reason I'm using these so common bottles is that I'm not using any special tools. These are just a combination of all the commodities, all in our life.
내가 직접 그 현장에서 사람들이 있는 상태에서 하는 것보다 이 줌이 더 긴장되네요.
Actually, this feels more nervous than having a audience in front of me.
자, 이번엔 내가 보여주는 중심 잡기는 이것 때문에 세계 여러 나라의 초청을 받았습니다.
So this is how I get many invitations from all around the world. This I can say this is the main stage. 작가님,
네.
앱솔루트 보드카병 쓰고 계시잖아요.
네.
아까 처음에 나왔던 연사분이 스웨덴 분인데,
네.
그분에게 혹시 전하는 어떤 메시지 이런 건가 하시네요. 이런 얘기가 있습니다 지금.
요즘에 많은 사람들이 이 병을 사용하는데 많이 마시는데 일반적으로 요즘에 핫한 그런 어떤 그런 음료국 때문에 제가 요즘에 이를 제일 많이 쓰고 있어요. 그리고 이 병은 되게 크기가 다양하고 색깔도 다양하기 때문에 제가 이 병을 여러 개를 갖고 있습니다.
So he's using a lot. He utilizes a lot of absolute vodka bottles, like just not only for the tribute to our Swedish speakers who just spoke with our great presentation, but these are really many people enjoy this even outside of Sweden. In this many colors and shapes, so that is why I use these bottles.
이제 이 사람들 관중이 저는 100명 이상 있어야지 제가 이 작업을 하는데 내가 화면을 보고 하려니까 되게 긴장이 됩니다.
Actually, I need audiences in front of me. Actually, at least more than 100. But for now, we don't have any audience since everything is done on Zoom. So this makes me more nervous. I'll try again.
자, 이번에 마지막 병 중심 잡기를 보여줄 건데.
This is the last one. Going to have a balancing among bottles.
여러분에게 제가 사랑을 보내줄 거예요. 사랑을.
I'm going to show you my love.
와우. 자, 마지막 한 번만 더 시도할게요. 흔들려요. 테이블이 잘못 선택했어요. 자, 될 것 같은가요?
I think I can make it.
A plus to them.
It's done it.
자, 명중심결은 여기까지 하고요. 도로를 안 걸렸네. 자, 훨씬 더 이제 난이도를 높여서 흔들리는 프레임 위에 중심 잡기를 해보겠습니다. 이 병중심 잡기를.
So I'm going to make the balancing on a shaking frame.
프레임이 다 보이나요?
See the frame? 네, 이거. 지금 윗부분은 보이고 아랫부분은 약간 안 보여요. 요 2인조까지 보이네요.
어땠어요?
예, 적당합니다. 적당합니다. 예.
됐죠? 아, 이걸 왜 내가 한다고 그랬지? 오. 아, 저 당자가 지금 단골 장단이 있었네. 더 무거운 걸 할까? 다 보이나?
Bravo!
We did it again.
Wow! Oh my god! Oh no!
자, 이 프레임이 돌아가고 있어. 자, 여기까지 하겠습니다.
Okay, that's it. That's it for today.
It's a science. I can balance anything. It's been 15 years since I started balancing. To keep balance, you need to control your muscles, joints, eyeballs, and even your breathing. There was an important lesson I learned through balancing. You can balance others only when you can keep balance yourself. 22 years ago, I got divorced, and I started living with my parents and my two sons. On top of that, my mother suffered from diabetes and joint problems. So I had to cook for my family and do all the house chores. My parents didn't complain about my food, but my young children were different. It was difficult to cook for them. I had to go to different restaurants every day. I was lost. I did not know how to live or what to do. I lost my way, like a top spinning without direction. I had no center. There is a famous waterfall in Chuncheon. It's not that hard to get to because it's not far from the entrance of the mountain. One summer, I went to the waterfall and played in the water. After a while, I found a log and made the log stand on another one. I took a picture of it. In the picture, the log looked like a 망부석, a woman who lost her husband and became a pastor. I couldn't stop thinking of the woman in the picture I took. The next morning, I went back to the waterfall to see the woman before anyone took it. From that day, I thought balancing logs could be my hobby, but it became my calling. I focus on balancing every day. I balanced different logs after work and doing all the house chores. I was totally into it. It was only possible because I did it for fun. I didn't take it serious at first. I had locks in my car, home, even at work. I started every day shaping the locks into the shapes I wanted. I fell asleep with locks. I started with balancing locks. Then I started uploading the pictures on my blog. It led me to a television show. In the show, they gave me missions to balance many different things. As I completed each mission, I tried balancing various objects. If I could lift it, I tried to balance it. People ask me how I can balance so many things. Actually, it's pretty simple. You need to understand the principle of balancing, then focus. You need to use gravity. You have to find the center of an object. The reason why I could become an expert is that I was not satisfied with an easy challenge. I always wanted to move on the next level. I looked for hard challenges. Usually people put a small object on a large one, but I did the opposite. I balanced a big object on a small object. A laundry machine, motorbike, mannequin, I did them all the same way. I challenged myself to do the impossible. Could I balance a shaking object? I balanced a fish tank filled with fishes on stocking TV show. No one has ever balanced a chair on one leg before, but I balanced a chair with a woman sitting in it. You need to find your own center. When things don't work, don't blame others, focus on yourself. To find my inner center, I had to control my fear. My other secret to balancing is that I'm not afraid of failures. I once wondered if I could stand one battle on another one. I broke so many battles, but I succeeded eventually. People only get to see my success. However, I made so many mistakes and failures before I tasted success. Through many countless failures, I found a new center before anyone can. With this talent, I was invited to Dubai by a prince. I performed in the biggest shopping mall in the world. Balancing helped me find a new career. My other secret to balancing is that the belief that I will eventually be successful. It's the most important thing. If you believe in yourself, you can find the center of yourself and the world will keep the balance. 9 years ago, I opened the balancing class for better concentration in Jeongja Elementary School. One day, I stood on edge and asked if anyone could do it. Everyone said, it's impossible. They said, you have a special talent, but we don't. I let them do it anyway. About 8 minutes later, a first grade child did it. Senior students did not work hard because they thought it was impossible from the beginning. The youngest of the class succeeded. The result was unexpected. When I asked them to do it, they were not sure if they could. But when a young kid did it, other students thought they could do it too. In the end, everybody succeeded. The surface of every slope. If you concentrate, you can make it stand. Everyone wants show off. So some students went home and showed the skill to their families. Their parents said, stop it. You will break the egg. Did they give up? They didn't. They knew they would succeed. Eventually, they succeeded in standing on egg. Then the parents challenged. They thought, I can do it too. As a result, everyone can stand on egg. Everyone's got talent. It's hard to keep balance in life. Life is unpredictable and difficult. You need to find your potential. I learned how to listen to myself through balancing knocks when I was having a hard time after divorce. Focus on your surroundings. A hobby can turn into a career. You can motivate others. Others will call you talented. Keep your eyes open. You have a potential. Find your center. You can do it. Here is a plate. What do you do with this? I create this balancing result. Here is our golf balls. What do you do with this? I create this balancing result. Here is the bottles. What do you do with this? I create this balancing result. I received a gift of hiking boots. I made a picture of balancing on the top of the mountain with those shoes. Top talent. My friend gave me kimchi as a gift. I put kimchi in a large bowl. 이거 덥네. 그냥 넘어가. 내가 처음 이제 이 블로그를 시작했을 때, 이거 저기 뭐야, 우리 그 통역을 좀 해줄래요?
When I first started my blog,
2005년도에 시작했고요.
back in 2005,
처음엔 남의 링크를 다 가져왔어요. 나의 블로그로.
so actually I brought I brought some publishings from everyone else to my blog by linking them and stating who they are.
나는 힘을 들이지도 않았는데도 내 블로그는 되게 풍성해졌어요.
So without much effort, my blog got filled. I got many articles in my blog.
그런데 어떤 사람이 저한테 메시지를 보냈어요. 왜 남의 거를 함부로 가져가느냐?
Someone messaged me. Why do you bring others? Why do you bring things from others?
저는 창피했습니다.
I couldn't say anything.
그래서 그날 이후로 블로그의 내용을 다 지우고 그때부터 나만의 생각, 나만의 글, 나의 사진, 나의 동영상 100% 나의 것으로만 블로그를 작성했습니다.
So I deleted everything from the blog which were brought from others, and I started to fill in everything with my own contents, my own feeling, my own pictures, my own videos, everything 100% of my own.
그리고 중심 잡기를 만났죠.
And then I met balancing.
중심 잡기는 제가 거의 모든 영역에서 처음 시작하고 발견했기 때문에
Actually, I have pioneered almost everything regarding to the balance and balancing.
모든 결과를 검색어로 올릴 때마다 이것은 제가 최초였습니다.
So when everything becomes a keyword for search, that was I did it for the first time.
유튜브, 페이스북, 인스타그램.
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and
이 모든 곳에 내가 그 사진하고 동영상을 올렸을 때 이 검색어를 다 집어넣는데 이것은 거기다 제가 만들어낸 그런 키워드예요.
So when I post anything on social media, I have added some keyword on the article as well, and that became a trend, and that's all started from me.
그리고 이제 그 여러 가지를 생각해봤죠. 나의 미래에 대한 어떤 그 설계를 했죠. 퍼포먼스, 방송, 강연, CF, 전시, 교구, 교육.
So I have started planning my future as well, including like what should I do? So like doing performances and going on to a TV show and doing some like lectures and taking some advertisement videos and like doing exhibitions and making educational programs as well.
이런 것들이 거의 다 실현이 돼서 저는 또 다음 단계 또 앞으로 내가 어떤 일을 할지 그 매일매일 기대가 됩니다.
So this is the plan actually I made back in 2014, and 6 years later right now I have done almost all of these. So I am making a second future plan as well.
처음 시작한 나의 중심 잡기, 돌 중심 잡기입니다.
So my very first balancing is balancing among stones.
2007년도에는 방송을 나가다 보니까 거기에 여러 가지 이제 미션을 주면서 굉장히 많은 중심 잡기를 찾아냈습니다.
So back in 2007, I went to many broadcasting programs, and many TV stations asked me to do a certain mission. These are what I have done.
2014년도는 흔들리는 중심 잡기를 발견했습니다. 어항 속에 기가 왔다 갔다 하는데 얘를 스타킹이라는 TV 쇼에서 이렇게 완성했습니다.
So there was a TV show called Stalking back in 2014, and I have done a mission just as it is shown. Filling a ball and the fish ball and make a balance among it with the stone.
2014년도에는 이 막대기를 연결을 해서 33개의 막대기를 연결해서 이렇게 하는 공연을 했습니다. 요 그림은 워싱턴 DC에서 공연을 했던 겁니다.
And in the same year in Washington D.C., U.S., I had done a performance with 33 sticks connected all together, and maintaining balance simultaneously.
그리고 또 사람을 중심 잡을 수 있을까? 이런 생각을 했는데 의자에 사람을 앉혀서 한쪽 발로 세웠고요. 또 오토바이에 사람을 앉혀서 퀵스탠드라는 그 작은 그 포인트로 중심을 잡았습니다.
And 1 year later, and I came to imagine, can I balance a person? And then, so I let a person sitting with just one point of a chair, and even on a motorbike, even putting motorbike on just a little stick, and I did all of them as well.
그리고 이제 아까 보셨던 중심 잡기, 병 위에 병을 세우는 중심 잡기를 발견했습니다. 2015년도에.
And I discovered this in the same year, back in 2015, balancing bottles.
그리고 흔들리는 중심 잡기라는 그거로서 흔들리는 프레임에다가 아주 큰 오토바이를 중심 잡아 세웠습니다. 여기서는 이제 북경의 CCTV에서 이런 거를 제안해서 제가 갔다 왔습니다.
I have done this in collaboration with CCTV of China in Beijing. So I put a motorbike on a shaking frame with just a little stick.
2017년도에는 사다리가 벽에 기대야지만이 얘가 버티고 있는데 공간에서 서 있을 수 있게 넘어가는 이 사다리를 반대쪽에 오토바이를 올려서 중심을 잡았습니다.
Actually, many people think that ladder should be reliant on the walls, but I proved that it is not 100% true. So I put a motorbike on the other side of the ladder, and I managed them to maintain balance with just two of these.
여기 있는 그 모델도 마찬가지로 체중을 반대쪽으로 줘서 중심 잡기로 공간에서 서 있는 그림입니다.
This time, instead of motorbike, I have asked the person to do the same thing on balancing, and she did that very well. Very well.
올해 이 돌 중심잡기 새로운 것을 찾아냈습니다. 서로 기대면서 기대고 누르고 조이고 막 이러면서 서로가 기대면서 되는 어떤 복합적인 중심잡기를 찾아냈습니다.
So, and this year, I found a new way of centering, a new way of balancing with stones, and with those complex structures, I managed to find the balance between among the stones and made more complicated structures as well.
그리고 이제 자연과 그 문명에 대해서 생각을 했는데요. 문명의 과도한 발달로 이 지구 온난화도 생기면서 또 코로나 바이러스 같이 이 몹쓸 병균들이 생겨서 우리를 어렵게 하는데 자연과 그 문명이 균형 있게 공존해서 지구에 평화롭게 공존되기를 원하는 그런 작업을 계속 해왔습니다. 올해는.
And then I came to thought about the relationship between nature and civilization. This year we are facing a very dark side of the advancement of civilization, like including those coronavirus pandemic. So I came to think, and we should think about the balance between civilization and nature.
요거는 이제 사람들은 항상 이렇게 무엇 때문에 안 된다고 되게 많이 표현을 하죠. 뭐 비가 와도 안 되고 더워도 안 되고 추워도 안 되고 바람 불어도 안 되고 뭐 이런 뭐 때문에 안 된다는 그런 이유로 못하는 경우가 되게 많습니다.
So we sometimes say I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of that. So there are various reasons that we decide we cannot do something.
그런데 저는 이제 그거 덕분에 할 수 있는 것들이 많아졌습니다. 여기 그림에 보면 물이 깊은데도 이렇게 더 멋있는 그림이 나오고 비가 많이 와야 되는 그런 작업이 있고 또 어두워야 되는 작업이 있고 눈이 추워서 뭐 눈이 많이 와야 되는 작업도 있고 또 이런 그 전에는 전혀 쉽게 하면 할 수 없는 것들을 되게 이런 어려운 환경을 극복하면서 이런 새로운 결과들을 계속 찾아냈습니다.
So these reasons can be sometimes those reasons can be climate and weather. So because of heavy rain, because of snowing, because of snow weather, because of heavy storm, I can't do this. But sometimes I come to think in the opposite way. So thanks for the storm, thanks for the heavy snow, thanks for the rain, I can make this beautiful scene.
중심잡기를 나만 하는 것보다는 많은 사람들이 할 수 있게 해서 그 사람들이 자존감이 커지게 저는 이제 이런 그 교육을 했고요.
So I want everyone to enjoy this art of balancing, not just me, but everyone, including all of you who are participating in this seminar.
많은 사람들이 중심잡기를 해서 이것이 축제가 되고 더 많은 사람들이 중심잡기를 할 수 있게 돼서 문화가 되기를 바라고 있습니다.
So I want to develop this art of balancing into a festival, and as the culture spreads, I hope it becomes a culture ultimately.
그래서 나는 균형잡기 교육 교재를 만들었습니다.
So I made a educational material for balancing.
여러 가지 것들이 있는데
There are various types of those materials.
이것은 이제 그 작은 그릇의 그 아이디어를 얻어서 이런 교구를 만들었습니다.
So I made this inspired by small bowls.
여기 그림에서처럼 1단계는 누구나 다 완성할 수 있게 만들었습니다.
Anyone can complete step 1.
2단계는 누구나 동기부여가 되면 할 수 있는 그런 이 단계를 만들었고요. 3단계는 열심히 하면 가능하고 4단계는 실패를 반복해서 결과가 만들어지게 했습니다.
So in a simple way, you need to get motivated to complete step 2, and step 3 you need to try hard, and in step 4 you need to try even harder and repeat failures, and then eventually you can do it.
이 그림은 그 동전을 중심 잡는 거에서 아이디어를 얻었습니다.
This picture is inspired by balancing coins.
이것도 마찬가지로 1단계, 2단계, 3단계, 4단계 아까 그런 느낌으로 만들었습니다.
So like the previous one, this is composed of 4 stages.
이것은 이제 사과 중심 잡기에서 착안을 했습니다.
This is inspired by balancing apples.
이것도 마찬가지로 1단계, 2단계, 3단계, 4단계가 있는데 마찬가지로 4단계는 실패를 반복해야지만 될 수 있게 만들었습니다.
So there are 4 stages as well, and in order to complete stage 4, you need to concentrate and do many failures as well.
이것은 아까 보셨던 돌들이 서로 기대면서 할 수 있는 복합적인 중심 잡기에서 아이디어를 얻었어요.
I got inspired for this material from balanced stones I made this year.
이것도 마찬가지로 1단계, 2단계, 3단계, 4단계로 누구나 다 이렇게 그 시도만 하면 할 수 있습니다.
Of course, there are 4 stages, and anyone can do it.
자, 요거는 이제 그 빌딩 스틱이라는 건데 이것도 마찬가지로 제가 이런 균형으로 이렇게 단계별로 만들었습니다.
This material is called building stick, and there are 4 stages. I divided them into 4 stages as well.
요거는 제가 공연에서 썼던 스틱 중심 잡기를 해서 착안을 해서 중심 잡기를 찾아냈습니다.
I got this idea from my performance regarding the balancing sticks.
자, 이렇게 누구나 다 쉽게 중심 잡기를 할 수 있게 만들었습니다.
Anyone can do it. Anyone can start.
좋은 조건을 주면, 좋은 조건을 주지 않으면서 가르치면 실패를 합니다. 좋은 조건을 준다면 누구나 다 잘할 수 있습니다.
Everyone fails without good conditions, but with good conditions, anyone can do well.
많은 실패를 하시고 그 실패를 쓸어 담고 나만의 눈사람을 만들어 보시기 바랍니다.
So make a lot of failures, and then wipe and collect those failures and try to make your own snowman out of it. Snowman of failure.
코로나 바이러스 때문에 세상이 예측하기 어렵고 살기 힘들어졌습니다. 마음을 편안하게 하고 긍정적인 생각을 한다면 좋은 일이 만들어질 겁니다.
So with the spread of coronavirus, everything becomes unpredictable and it became harder to live than compared to before. So we need to relax yourself and make some positive minds, and good things will come.
Thank you very much for listening to my story.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rocky Byun, for this exclusive talk, opening up many of your secrets and stories. It was amazing, and also this live performance combined with the presentation, it was really powerful. Thank you, and we definitely need your knowledge, your experience to face with this upcoming quite much uncertain, unbalanced future, what 2021 can bring us. So it was very useful. I also want to say thanks to Sangwo Lim for the translation. It's great to have you here again, like always, Sangwo. It was great that you made Mr. Rocky's message clearer to us. It was so important to hear his thoughts also in English. And yeah, we could see that balancing rocks and other objects is an art, but it's also a discipline. And Philippe mentioned passion, so we could see that it's a passion as well, and maybe it's also a philosophy, a psychology, and also a learning process. I was also happy to learn about your balancing toolkit. I think I got an idea for the birthday of my 6-year-old son, who is really eager to balance everything what he found. So I think it's also kind of a natural interest also in children to try to make things balanced. And I definitely have another perspective also. There's those huge rocks in the backseat, under the backseat of our car, what he all the time collects, and it's made me nervous for some time, I can tell. But now I see the purpose behind it. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
you please. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. All right. 네, 정말 작가님 강연 정말 잘 들었고요. 작가님의 정말 그러한 경험, 이제 노력 이런 것들이 정말 2021년 맞이하는 우리 이제 위기에 처한 우리의 세계가 이제 나아가야 할 방향이나 이런 것에 대해서도 큰 어떤 이제 큰 이제 어떤 비전을 제시해 주신다, 이렇게 볼 수 있을 것 같습니다. 그리고 정말 그 작가님의 뭐랄까 열정, 그 다음에 철학, 그리고 심리 이런 것들까지 정말 많은 것들을 아우를 수 있는 그런 이제 좋은 강연이었던 것 같고요. 저희에게도 굉장히 이제 많은 울림과 메시지를 주시는 것 같습니다. 사실 이 오늘 사회를 보고 있는 이 크리스토프 페니베시 박사가 6살짜리 아들이 있대요. 근데 이제 아들이 이제 차에 태워놓으면 뒷좌석에서 그렇게 막 계속해서 뭘 가지고 이렇게 뭐 조그만 물건들을 가지고 계속 이제 균형을 잡아서 이렇게 뭐 탑 쌓듯이 약간 이렇게 뭘 조그만 물건들을 이렇게 쌓아 올리고 균형을 맞춰보려고 하는 그런 경험들을 했다고 합니다. 그래가지고 본인 아들이 생각이 나가지고 아들이 얘가 왜 이렇게 이런 거에 몰두를 하지라는 생각을 했었는데, 이제 작가님의 강연을 듣고 보니까는 그래서 그랬구나.
그 아들하고 저하고 정신 연령이 같아요.
So Rocky Byun said, so yours, Christoph, your son has the same age in terms of same mental age with your son. He has, yes.
Yeah, actually, creativity always keeps you young, I think. Yes, it's certainly true.
어쩌면 정말로 그렇게 같은 정신력이기에 창의성도 같이 발현되는 게 아닌가.
And I also found out very good advice, sort of a disclaimer, that don't play Jenga against Mr. Rookie Byun, right? Don't play the Jenga against him.
작가님 혹시 그 젠가라는 보드 게임 아시나요?
예.
Okay.
젠가를 아무래도 이제 작가님이 아마 달인이실 것 같다고, 아무래도 여기 있는 모든
맞아요. 젠가
he said that's right. He's the king of Zenga.
Yes, it's clear. And actually, we received a lot of questions even before this presentation, and more questions came in during the talk. So let's move on to start to see what kind of questions we have. And in the same time, I would like to open up this conversation to both speakers. So we have the great opportunity also to see some conversation between our main speakers today.
예, 작가님께 굉장히 질문이 많이 들어와 있습니다. 그래서 이제 Q&A 세션을 가져보고자 합니다.
네.
Okay, so many people asked that is balancing is depending mainly on practice or scientific knowledge, like knowledge of physics, or talent. So practice, knowledge of physics, or talent. What is the key to balancing if you want to choose one?
연습 그리고 재능 그리고 지식 이렇게 세 가지를 놓고 봤을 때요. 밸런싱 아트의 성패를 가르는 가장 큰 요소는 이 중에 어느 것이라고 생각하시나요?
기본적으로 이제 원리죠, 원리. 제가
So
하는
basically it's all principles.
지구가 당기는 힘, 중력을 이해를 한다면 누구나 다 작은 이 노력으로 저와 같은 방법으로 중심 잡기 결과를 만들어낼 수 있습니다.
So if you understand what gravity is, you can easily do what I have achieved with just a little effort.
So you told gravity, Sungwo, right? If you understand what gravity is, that was your sentence, right? Okay, please go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but there was a break in the line, so I wanted to clarify that you told gravity.
Yes, that is right. Gravity is the keyword.
Okay, so if you understand what gravity is, then
you can do it. Then you can achieve what I have achieved as well with just a little effort.
Okay, a little effort. Yes, we saw all those little efforts also in the mistakes you can make, and actually, Philippe and many other people had noticed the role of mistakes in learning. I'm sure that we will return to that, and I would like to open up a live conversation around this topic, that the role of mistakes in learning. But before I would go into that, I have some questions. Sungwo, you can translate meanwhile.
크리스토프도 지금 사회자 크리스토프도 질문이 있다고 합니다. 우선 이제 하는 주제는 이제 실수에 관한 그런 이야기고, 실수를 이제 많은 실수를 통해서 배우셨다 하셨잖아요, 작가님도. 이제 그런 거에 대한 이야기를 할 거고요. 이제 질문 들어보도록 하겠습니다. Okay, go ahead.
So before we would go into this big topic, the role of mistakes in learning, I would like to ask you so 3 questions. First, any objects can be balanced? Every objects can be balanced? This is my first question.
네, 작가님께 이제 3가지 질문 드릴 건데요. 첫 번째는 정말로 모든 것의 균형을 다 잡을 수 있느냐 하는 것입니다. 그리고 이제
가능합니다. 모든 거에 중심 잡기를 잡을 수 있는데 물체가 형체가 바뀌지 않고 무게가 있다면 가능합니다.
Okay, so so he said he can get balance of everything unless they have weights and they have shape shape which is not changing. So it shouldn't be liquid.
Yeah, okay, this is interesting. And I guess this water tank with the fish was a challenging object then in this regard, right?
어항 그거는 되게 힘드셨을 것 같아요, 작가님들. 어항 세운 그 스타킹 그의 언급이 나왔습니다.
Yeah, and next question a little bit related to that. Do you have any yet unsolved challenge? Do you have something in your mind what is still unsolved? You want to do it so hard, but you still don't find the center point of something.
자, 두 번째 질문은 이와 연관지어서요. 아직 밸런스, 그러니까 균형을 잡아보고 싶으신데 아직 못 해본 것이 있으신가요?
많죠. 많은데.
A lot.
그런데 이제 제가 혼자서 하는 중심 잡기는 뭐든지 제가 이렇게 할 수 있는데 누군가의 도움이 된다면 훨씬 더 큰 것들을 계속 이렇게 해나갈 수 있을 것 같아요.
So there are a lot of things I have in mind actually. So actually I can do almost virtually everything that I can do on my own. But with someone's help, I can do much larger ones as well.
예를 들어서 에펠탑 위에 아까 그 병을 세운다든지.
Like putting the bottle on the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Wow, that sounds really spectacular. Can't wait to see. But please be careful and select carefully the way how you go to the top. So we still need you to balance a lot of things. So please be very careful, but we want to be there and we want to see that
작가님,
for sure.
작가님 저 에펠탑 꼭대기 올라갈 때 조심하세요.
Okay. This just bring us to another point which I wanted to ask you, that what is the biggest object you ever balanced, and what is the biggest object what you want to balance? Okay, so the biggest what you are already done, but the biggest you have in your mind to balance.
자, 두 가지 질문인데요. 작가님이 지금까지 균형을 잡아보신 것 중에 제일 큰 것과 앞으로 이제 균형을 잡아보고자 하시는 것 중에 제일 큰 것, 이렇게 두 가지를 알려주셨으면 합니다.
제가 스타킹이라는 쇼에서 자동차를 태웠어요.
So I balanced the car.
680kg짜리인데 내가 무게를 통제할 수 없잖아요. 그래서 그 자동차의 타이어, 엔진, 문짝 다 떼고.
네. So this is so the weight is around 680 kilograms. So since I can't do everything on my own, so the doors and engines were removed.
그래서 8명의 그 도우미가 그걸 다 뗐는데도 무게가 180kg에서 그 부피도 크고 무거워서 제가 8명의 도우미가 그거를 들어줘서 제가 중심 잡기 결과를 만들었습니다.
So with the help of 8 people lifting the car, I made it.
Amazing. Philippe, are you ready to have your question or comment on the role of mistakes? And it would be fantastic to wrap up on the line along the line of this topic.
Yes, of course. You hear me now?
Yeah.
So I said I was very happy to hear the great Byun confirm my observation that learning from series of mistakes is a sustainable way of learning. So in other words, you just said that talent can be learned. So you're confirming one of my points.
저는 이제 실수로부터 배운다라는 것에 대해서 이제 그런 이야기들을 하게 되고 좀 더 이야기를 나눠보고자 합니다. 이제 마무리를 하면서요. 결국 이제 어떻게 보면은 이제 아까 필립 롱샴 연사가 이야기했던 주제와 지금의 변남석 작가님이 이야기하시는 주제의 공통점은 재능을 배울 수 있다라는 점이 될 것 같습니다.
맞아요. 저는 행동하는 사람이에요. 저는 생각하는 사람이 아니고 행동하는 사람이에요. 그런데 이제
I'm not a man of thinking, but I am a man of action.
행동을 하게 되면 굉장히 많은 실패를 하지만 행동하면서 만들어진 실패를 생각을 하면서 새로운 결과를 만들어내거든요. 그러니까 생각을 아예 안 하는 건 아니고 행동하면서 생각을 하게 되면 특별한 결과들을 계속 만들어내더라고요. 많은 실패가 있지만.
So when I act, I make numerous failures, but stepping on those failures, I can move on to success. So actually, I don't say I'm not saying I'm not thinking at all, but so yes, I do think, but I think while acting, while I am walking, while I am on the move.
Thank you. Hey Park, are you here with us? You had a question right after Philippe's session. Maybe you could make this question now, if you are here, and if you can unmute and switch on your camera. Hey Park, are you with us? Okay. Yahi.
제희 선생님 계시면은 혹시 아까 저기 필립 롱샴 연사 이제 발표 마치고 하시려고 했던 질문 지금 하셔도 괜찮을 것 같습니다.
Okay, until Yahi switch on, if she recognize.
계시면 음소거 해제해 주시면은 감사하겠습니다.
예.
Okay, let me. Actually, there were many people who recognized that you had a lot in common, Philippe and Rocky. Let me ask you both. Okay, what was the most surprising and most exciting in each other's talk? So, Philippe, what was something what made you think deeper? There was this mistakes thing, but something else when you watched Rocky's fantastic performance and presentation.
What I found interesting was also like the whole path to become the artist that Rocky is. To hear the story, what made him or what motivated him to develop this art. So there's always a story in the background, like the one that Mariana mentioned in the introduction as well. Like there's a snowball effect. Things lead to another often, and like every action, like you said, Rocky, you're a man of action, and you learn from your mistakes. It always open new doors, and then it is like that's the whole idea of the progression that we want to instill with the young students. So we see it in the development of this balancing art, and the whole story, like my own story here, moving to Sweden, participating in this contest, having the chance to do a lecture in Korea, it really led to something new. And today I'm here talking to you, thanks to all of you who have contributed to this path. And by hearing Rocky's story with the way he was taking care of his sons and when he developed his talent, because it's a talent that he developed by learning by mistakes. I think it was one of the most important. So in other words, it's the way to knowledge that is interesting, and that's the act of learning.
네, 작가님께 우선 이제 작가님께 원래 이제 질문을 드리려고 했던 사항은요. 그러니까 이제 다른 연사, 그러니까 이제 필립 롱샴 선생님의 이제 어떤 면이 가장 이제 인상 깊었는가 하는 점이 이제 질문 사항이 될 것이고요. 그 부분에 대해서 일단 필립 롱샴 선생님은 작가님의 어떤 부분이 가장 이제 인상 깊었는가에 대한 질문에 가장 놀랐는가에 대한 질문에서 이제 작가님의 걸어오신 길이라고 대답을 했어요. 그래서 이제 작가님이 이제 이러한 밸런싱 아트라는 이런 부분에 열정을 가지게 되신 동기 이런 부분에 대해서 이제 굉장히 인상 깊었다고 하셨고요. 이제 마리아나 백 선생님이 이제 처음에 이제 축사에서 해주셨던 스노우 효과, 흔히 이제 눈덩이 효과라는 말을 쓰죠. 이제 정말 눈덩이처럼 이렇게 이제 하나하나 작은 열정들이 모이고 모여서 작은 행동과 작은 또 실패까지 모이고 모여서 새로운 길을 열어냈다. 새로운 영역을 개척하셨다라는 점이 정말 인상이 깊었다고 하였습니다. 실패를 통해서 배우고 정말 말 그대로 재능이 어떻게 보면 타고났다기보다는 재능을 이제 직접 개발해 내신 새로운 길을 만들어서 정말 어떻게 재능의 길을 개척하신 그런 부분이 정말 인상 깊었다라고 했습니다. 필립도 이제 스웨덴에서 이제 새롭게 이제 삶을 시작했고, 그리고 이제 또 그러면서 이제 그런 도전의 역사를 거쳐서 이제 또 한국에 와서 또 강연도 하고 그런 기회를 얻게 되었었는데요. 그런 식으로 어떻게 보면 이제 도전을 통한 개척이라는 점에서 이제 굉장히 본인에게도 공감이 되는 부분이 많았던 것 같습니다. 그런 면에서 이제 작가님께도 좀 질문을 드리고자 하는데요. 필립 롱샴 선생님이 이제 강연을 하셨잖아요. 그 내용에서 혹시 인상 깊었던 점이나 그런 것들이 혹시 있으셨는지, 이제 그 필립 롱샴이라는 그 선생님을 보면서 이 선생님의 어떤 부분이 가장 이제 인상 깊었는가, 이 부분에 대해서 질문을 드리고자 합니다.
저는 이 중심 잡기가 되게 단순해요. 그냥 보면 결과가 바로 나오거든요. 그래서 이제 계속 이제
My balance is really simple.
그래서 저는 이제 어떤 건 짧은 시간에 가능하고 어떤 건 시간이 많이 소요되지만 어쨌든 나는 할 수 있다는 확신 때문에 할 때까지 제가 결과를 만들어낼 때까지 저는 이제 시도를 합니다.
Actually, the motivation comes from confidence. Whether it's a small one or a large one, I am always sure that I can do it. I can do this job. So that before starting every project. So that is the motivation.
그래서 저는 이제 별로 생각을 안 하고 이렇게 중심 잡기를 하는 사람인데 지금 이제 아까 그 발표한 그 선생님은 전문적인 지식을 가지고 굉장히 다양한 방법으로 과학이라는 것을 접목시켜서 굉장히 그렇게 되면 저보다 훨씬 더 많은 실패를 할 거라고 저는 생각을 하는데 거기에 어떤 기계 장치를 집어넣어서 그 4D 프레임을 움직이기도 하고 또 결과를 만들고 어떤 거는 이제 아까 모서리로 이게 어느 부분에 이렇게를 중심 잡아 세우는 그런 결과도 만들었는데 정말 대단한 것 같아요. 저 존경합니다.
So actually, I don't think that much before starting something. But since Philip, you're a teacher and you're a scientist, since you're very professional about your job, so I think you are mixing many new ideas and combining many aspects of science to make a real convergent education program. So I think that kind of pioneering your way and that kind of venturing things out. I was so impressed about your so much that creative and professional projects. So I really admire you.
감사합니다.
예, 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. To conclude our session, let me ask also Mr. Rocky Byun, that was there something what you made think when watching Philippe's great presentation, or did you get any new ideas? It would be interesting to hear about your perspective, what you find interesting in a talk like Philippe's talk was.
네, 작가님께 이제 마무리 질문으로 한 가지 더 드릴 것이 있는데요. 이제 필립 롱샴 선생님의 강연을 보시면서 혹시 어떤 새로운 영감이 떠오르거나 어떤 새로운 인상 깊었던 점 이런 것들이 있을까요? 혹시 어떤 새로운 아이디어가
저는 이제 움직이는 물체를 중심을 잡았잖아요. 그런데 이제 저는 이제 그 어떤 기계가 그 선생님이 만드는 어떤 그 물체가 앞으로 이렇게 움직이다가 딱 멈췄을 때 제 중심 잡기에 올라타가지고 얘가 그렇게 딱 중심을 잡았으면 우리 같은 콜라보레이션을 할 수 있을 것 같아요.
So I made balance with a continuously moving object, but what if I can make balance even with an object which moves and sometimes move and then stops at a certain time because of those mechanical principles. So what if I can manage to balance on objects even like these? That's the thing I came to my mind today.
이거는 내가 중심을 잡는 게 아니라 저 선생님이 중심을 잘 잡아야지 결과를 낼 수 있는 거예요.
So this is actually not just about me, but about your balancing, Philip, as well.
Okay, so Philippe, you apparently dropped the ball pass the ball to Rocky. Let's see when and how he will pass it back to you. So this will be an exciting ball game here, what you just decided to play. So thank you very much for everybody's participation. Thanks a lot to Mariana Bach from Nordic 4D Frame for opening our session. Thanks a lot to Philippe Longchamps, the Teacher of the Year in Sweden, that he could be with us. And thanks a lot for Mr. Rocky Byun to share this exclusive performance with us. It was a wonderful end of the year session. It was a real firework and a real encouragement for all of us to face with our uncertain and a little bit unbalanced future. So let's meet all of you in 2021. We will continue the sessions, and also the International Society for Association for STEAM Advancement is also continue its conferences. So be ready and register to the upcoming sessions. I also would like to point out that actually the 4D Lands YouTube channel is streaming these sessions, and you will find also the recording of these sessions there. So the name of the channel is 4D Land.
Excuse me.
also in the chat.
Excuse me, I want to ask a question.
Yes, of course. And Hilda Palembang is here, maybe from Sweden or maybe somewhere else.
I'm from Indonesia.
Okay, Indonesia. Hilda, please go ahead.
I'm a son from Hilda. Sorry. Want to ask to Mr. Rock Byun. When each Rock Byun start have a talent of balancing item?
Excuse me, could you please come again? This is there's a technical reason.
For what?
Could you please speak again?
Could you please repeat?
I want to ask to Rock Byun. When each has start her talent, how long it need to good to have a talent to balancing item just like that?
Okay.
And can child do the same thing like you do?
Yeah, okay. Thank you a lot for this question. So to wrap it up, to summarize, I think the question is that what is the age, the ideal age to start practice balancing? How long it takes to be a professional balancer?
Yes.
As a child, how old were you? As a child, has a chance to become a professional balancer. That's the question. Thank you for your courage to make this question. I really appreciate. This is the best way to conclude this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
So can I translate now? Okay.
Yes, please.
작가님께 변남석 작가님께 드리는 질문인데요. 이 친구가 되게 인도네시아에서 온 힐다라는 굉장히 어린 친구예요. 근데 이제 이런 또 이제 밸런싱을 시작할 수 있는지, 그리고 정말 이제 작가님처럼 정말 훌륭한 밸런싱에 대해서 작가님 수준에 도달하기까지는 대충 어느 정도의 시간이 걸릴지, 그리고 이제 언제쯤 이제 어느 정도의 나이대에서 이것을 시작하는 게 가장 좋을지에 관한 질문입니다.
현재 인도네시아에는 중심 잡기를 하는 사람들이 많이 있어요. 제가
there are a lot of people who are enjoying this balancing art in Indonesia as well.
이것은 이제 얼마나 오래 해야 유명해지는 거가 아니고, 내가 중심 잡기를 시도해서 내가 얼마나 독특한 것을 만들어내느냐, 이거가 내가 더 빨리 유명해질 수 있는 그런 거가 될 겁니다.
Actually, balancing art is not about how long have I done, but this is rather about how unique can I be. That will be the real question.
Is this answers your question, Hilda and Hilda-san?
질문이 아니 제가 이해를 다 못했는데 그거 아닌가요?
네네네.
What?
나이대라든가 이제 자기가 시작을 하면 될지 그런 얘기를 했거든요. 근데 어린 친구니까
Did you ask my name? My name is Yusuf. Yeah. I saw in the chat you asking about my name.
Yes. What's your name?
Well, my name is Alias Shawal.
All right. Thank you for your courage to make this question. So if there is no more for this time, how old you been when you started balancing? Mr. Roque Byun, that was also belonging to the question. How old you been when you started balancing?
그리고 작가님이요, 이제 혹시 이제 이 밸런싱 아트를 처음 시작하셨을 때요, 언제, 그러니까 몇 살이셨는지 이것도 되게 궁금한 것 같아요.
제가 이 돌 중심 잡기를 시작한 것은 한 44살, 43살 이 정도 시작했는데, 사실은 누구나 다 중심 잡기를 태어나면서도 중심 잡기를 하면서 살아요. 내 몸을 이렇게 지구가 당기기 때문에 어렸을 때는 근육이나 관절이 약하니까 기어다니게 되잖아요. 근데 성장하면서 이 근육하고 관절이 튼튼해지면 두 발로 서게 되는데 그러면서 계속 움직이면서도 이게 중심을 계속 잡아야 되고 그래서 누구나 다 태어나면서부터 중심 잡기를 하면서 본능적으로 하면서 이렇게 존재한다고 저는 생각을 합니다.
Actually, so Mr. Byun started balancing art at the age of 44, but he thinks that everyone does balancing even before that, because like everyone is even starting from and growing up, even on age, you sometimes you do make a balancing, walking in a straight line, trying to walking in a straight line, or those examples. So everyone does balancing even without noticing. So this
Thank you very much. Also for Aulia Yusuf Shival for your courage to making these questions. I think we need more and more people from your age also in these seminars. You're such a great audience, important questions. So I wish you have a good end of this strange year, 2020, and let's have a better one in 2021. And I'm looking forward to see you again in the continuation of these seminars and these events. Thanks, Mr. Hogul Park and 4D Frame team for setting up this event, such an important opportunity to meet each other regularly and exchange thoughts and creating new ideas. This is what we need. And see you soon. Have a wonderful New Year's Eve and see you again in 2021. I'm really happy that you have here with us for such a great time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.
See you again. Thank you very much.
See you. Thank you, Rocky. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
작가님 수고 많으셨습니다. Thank you, everyone.
수고 많았습니다.
Thank you so much.
수고 많으셨습니다.
네.
Thank you. I love you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
로키 밴드.